Talk about the Ivy League's Title IX project, how the 40 for 40 came about, and what the goals were.
Well, when we were talking about the 40th anniversary of Title IX, we wanted to come up with a recognition that would feature the broad-based spectrum of our sports operations, as well as the broad impact that Title IX really has had in athletics, ranging across a whole variety of sports. And we wanted to be able to feature individuals with Ivy League connections and telling the messages about the value and importance of Title IX.
Now, you were a commissioner. Obviously, there are various female commissioners within athletics, but what has Title IX done for women, not necessarily in the sports realm, but CEOs in business, government, etc.?
Well, as several of the individuals that have engaged in our conversations the past month and a half have noted, Title IX is really about education, and athletics was one part of that and has gotten a lot of the attention. But where we've seen wholesale changes as a result of Title IX is obviously in our educational communities in terms of the academic offerings available to girls and young women, but also then what that has done in terms of getting women out in the career workforce into leadership roles and being able to pursue really whatever they want to do, whether they want to be an astronaut, be a Supreme Court justice, be doctors, scientists. The sky's the limit for girls growing up today. I benefited from that as I was growing up, and Title IX really has done so much for our society.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for women in sports?
I think developing our own identity for the women's sports is something that we are still examining and looking at. You can take women's basketball, which is so incredibly popular, and how do we foster its unique identity and not necessarily compare it to the men's game so that there's different fan bases. They overlap. They're like intersecting circles. But it's okay to be different, and it's okay to recognize what our differences are, that we might have different fan bases, and embrace those differences and really create our own identity. In addition, we need to look at some of the mistakes that have happened in the men's games and make sure we don't duplicate those. In some respects, people look at the women's sports because they really didn't start until certainly the 70s to get the attention that they need, but really even the 80s and 90s. So in some respects, the women's sports are seen as maybe behind in the development as compared to the men's game. And so we can take advantage of that and really fashion a separate and unique identity that takes the good and hopefully continues to develop the sports as well.
Looking ahead to the next 10 years leading up to the 50th anniversary of Title IX, what do you see is in store for Title IX? What changes do you see coming on the horizon?
Well, I think the focus will continue to shift away from increasing the opportunities for women. I think we're seeing the gaps shrink, that we still have work to do. But I think the focus is going to really be on the overall experience of the girls and women that participate in athletics and how that compares to the experience for the boys and men. And I hope that in 10 years, when we're talking about the 50th anniversary, that we're no longer talking about cutting men's teams to as a result of Title IX. I hope that conversation, which has already diminished, really is gone, and that we're just focusing on having equitable experiences for both genders.